SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity.
What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sword of blade.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. Baruch. My name is Neil with SFJ 4x4 Simpson Family Jeeps, and I am joined in Grandma's Couch Studio by the decorated, esteemed, and
You know, you're the only one that doesn't have an OG shirt on right now.
Well, look at that.
you know what's funny? Wait, you know what? For our viewers at home, you're not going to get to appreciate this, but I will turn around for the camera.
Oh, he does have an OG shirt on.
I'm turning around. I'm looking like I'm
Oh, I see
squatty
it
potty. I'm literally wearing such an OG shirt that the very first year of having shirts, I was so poor. I didn't print anything on the front of the shirt. And I think whatever people who there were people who bought them, right? I'm not saying a ton of people bought this merch, but there were some people who bought them. But it was the very first. It's the most OG shirt.
Okay.
So if you don't know, it's got
Talk about a one-up right there.
right. That could not have been more perfect.
So you have the OOG shirt. I have the second OG.
Yes, and Jeff has the shortly
following up the
thereafter.
tail.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's so perfect.
We couldn't
to
have
see.
planned that.
No, we really couldn't have. It literally tracks our employment and everything.
Welcome to SFJ.
Right, serendipitous. We'll take a little happy accidents. And I will address my shirt real quick. My sale piece was it's a work shirt.
Yeah.
Right. That's what my thing was. It was meant to be a work shirt. People in that first year or two were like, cool, but give me something on the front of the shirt. and thus the shirt that you're wearing is the OG I Speak Jeep shirt.
Yep.
Before I Speak Jeep podcast was a thing.
Before the podcast was even a thing, right? It was I literally ran a whole series of shirts, but then I took the old inventory of this particular shirt and reprinted them.
That's why the back of this shirt has that on the back.
It's why
of it.
that shirt has this on it. Yes. Oh man, that's a
funny.
fun walk down memory lane. That's pushing 12, 13 years ago at this point.
So the Maddest Mad Scientist
Yes.
has the second OG recycled OG shirt.
Yes. We ran that shirt for a lot of years.
We
so.
did. And then Jeffrey
with the
producer,
Jeep Junkie.
has a Jeep Junkie with the XJ grill.
Yeah, which was kind of our official XJ piece. And the original inclination, we should do a whole thing on merchandising.
We should.
Because Jeep people love to rep the fact that we have Jeeps. And recently I was at Career Day and I talk about the Ducks and Jeep culture as well when I do Career Day. So we should do a whole session on merchandising and branding for why we love Jeeps. But
Well, we actually have a live listener in our parking lot with Jeannie sitting out there saying, good morning, listening to you from the comfort of the SFJ 4x4 parking lot. It was that, or I wouldn't get to listen. Nate,
What?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Jeannie, I love it, Jeannie. That's fine.
Nate's first with good morning. Giaga Jeepers, good morning. Chip says morning. Joe O'Brien says good morning. And I can't read. Lucky McDeerhead said good morning, guys.
Good morning to everyone. And that is so fantastic for everybody to be joining us after our brief week off with Memorial Day. While
That
we
snuck up
honored
on
that.
all of us.
So much snuck up on all of us. While we honored the ultimate sacrifice for so many individuals who've come before us. So
My wife just mentioned she's also in the parking lot, so we actually have two people listening in the parking lot. James Highland says, Buenos dias.
Who knew we were going to make this a thing? Parking lot party out there.
Parking
So
lot
We could
audience.
get the little drive-in speakers and
We could.
have posts.
we could be broadcasting it. I mean, at one time when the Savage was gainfully employed here, I asked him. He did it regularly for over a couple of years. He would turn on the live out in the showroom so that if you were a person who came in, you could see it happening in the showroom while you stopped in. So we'll get around to that when we have some summer coverage again. I had a quick parking lot party. Oh, there is actually going to be a parking lot party next week.
Yeah, for the
and
train.
For the train. Big Boy is passing through. There is through the area. Conneaut, Ohio is listed as a departure location, but with no public viewing possible. And what we're offering is literally just that, a public viewing space. And we're going to be restrictive on our parking lot to the best of our ability. I'm not going to be, militant.
We're not the parking lot police.
Are they
I'm not the parking lot
Are they
police.
coming across this track right here?
They're literally, as they depart, this is the track that will take them to Buffalo. So
That's cool.
As they stage and process their departure at 9 a.m., we will be seated 10 feet away from the train with, free parking and secure, you don't have to be worried about the fact that you're in somebody's yard or you're just at a random crossing, railroad crossing or street crossing. You can come here with your Jeep and hang out with like-minded individuals who just want to see something, historical and cool.
And enjoy Neil nerding out on the train.
100%. And just
Because I
as
know
a,
you're going to be like a little kid in a candy shop with this.
oh my goodness, I was excited when the 4140 or 1440. I actually don't remember which one it was that came through.
That was on the tracks down, though, right?
No, it was right here
Was it?
because I traumatized my son at a very
That's-
early age by holding him entirely too close to the train as it came into the yard.
No, you didn't. CYS. No.
No, he's fine now. He's 13. It's statute of limitations. It's all gone. But
Suddenly, there's a barricade put up at SFJ, and CSX says no.
yeah.
Simpsons are not welcome.
Yeah, so it's a super cool experience, and we want to share that with others. It is the 250th celebration, and they're doing this coast to coast of arguably one of the world's largest steam engine trains, and so that's just super cool from a mechanical automotive perspective. So please join us. Consider joining us. You can arrive 8:30. Hang out in the parking lot, and we're gonna be staged. We're literally just watching the parade. There's nothing exciting. We'll have the shop open, and we'll be telling lies about each other's Jeeps. And in preparation, we'll be in preparation of Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival that will be happening a few days afterwards.
Andrew Fornell is saying, I remember the early days when you all came to Jamestown for the JVFD cruise-in, and we had 98 Jeeps show up.
Yeah, that was a nice event. We in the early days when, and I'm not looking to gift horse in the mouth by any stretch of the imagination. Our work volume, we have this juggling act, if you will, because our work volume and our in-house customer demand is so high. But previously, man, we were able to get out a lot and just go to meet and greets and gatherings, and that is valuable. And I'd like to do that again. We keep working towards that goal, but we also keep accepting jobs from customers to keep the lights on.
Well-
so there's whatever.
And to segue into the topic for the day, Bill McWilliams is asking, will there be Jeep stacking? And I will tell you that probably not, but...
I'm definitely not. No, we're not doing any
We
Jeep
could
stacking in the
probably
parking lot.
use forklifts inappropriately.
Oh, I would love to use forklifts inappropriately and pick up Jeeps. That sounds fantastic, actually. No, today we are talking about the right tool. And this is a phrase that is one of my mantras. And my father he was a school teacher, right? I did not have the same experience that Scott had, where his dad was a hot rodder, was a custom car builder. My father was a school teacher who DIY'd out of necessity, right? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes when we did pay a professional to do the work, one of my dad's mantras was, well, the right tool for the job makes it go 2 times faster or 10 times faster, or the right tool for the job, just abbreviate the phrase and just say, hey, there is a conversation regarding efficiency and quality, general workmanship in general. And I kind of nerd out in a social piece to say that the right tool for the job is not just it's not just the actual physical tool itself. Jeffrey and I, when we were doing the American Hustle, this would be a concept that we could build upon to be like, are we employing the right tactic? Are we using the right process or procedure?
Is it the right person in that role?
Exactly, right? And that's not to be a derogatory conversation about a tool, but just to say that, is this the asset needed to be successful? In this specific talking point today, I would like to kind of lock in on the actual physical, tangible tools.
Well, first I want to share how you've shared this episode idea with me, because I think it's entertaining.
Okay.
You sent diagnostics, efficiency, reinvestment, quality outcome, torque wrenches, pneumatic versus electric, computer diagnostic equipment in modern vehicles, Taser, J-Scan, super chips for DIYers. And I just simply replied, so like a 7-part episode.
Yeah! Yeah! But we can't do multi-part episodes because we know that your listenership goes when we do multi-parts. Oh, I don't know why.
Nate says that you should probably not refer to your employees as tools.
That's why I clarified. I didn't even read your thing. That's why Jeff is a tool, but I'm not. We could just compartmentalize that, and I'll never say anything behind anybody's back I won't say to their face. So I just call a spade, man.
I feel like a tool's an upgrade from what you usually call this, so we're good.
Cockroach in the most loving way possible. That to me is a compliment, and it is about his ability to adapt and overcome in perilous situations. I saw it positively employed by a online influencer the other day, and he was referencing himself and his wife, and he was like, you could burn it all down and we will emerge from the ashes as happy cockroaches. And I was like, there! That's what I mean, Jeff! Gracious. That is fantastic.
Nate says, I guess there's no HR department at SFJ.
Oh, the HR is Greg. I need you to know that HR is really loosely defined if you don't want to be pistol whipped.
I liked it better when HR had the Seuss hat.
And that would be, I do want to tease a little bit that thematically, and that while there is no drop on the merch giveaway, because quite frankly, I'm not even sure that I'm going to be able to manage it this year. Thematically, you're going to see some Dr. Seussisms at Bantam this year.
We got thing one and thing two going.
I'm not sure yet. You'll have to wait and see. But that's
going to be like the Who Was It car and whatever just pops out of the car.
So the pretense of the right tool for the job is in large part where I have been. I recently did career day. Mm-hmm. Scott came and joined me last week at his daughter's school. Wanted to kind of make sure that people in our community know about the automotive fields. And I try to expand upon not just the physical wrenching, though that is something that we do here and we take a lot of pride in. But you guys may or may not know, Scott has degree work in engineering and drafting of sorts and a number of things like that. And so does your wife.
Yep.
Right. And so I try to talk about the mechanical fields as a broad approach, right? And mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, just knowing how to take a ratcheting wrench and turn it into our Milwaukee impact guns, mm-hmm. right? And that is then a conversation where I saw another shop recently on their glow up, and in a very condescending and judgmental way, I was like, "Oh, they're still using pneumatic tools," and that's on me. You know what I mean? That's on me. I appreciate the electrification, and I talk about that with Career Day with kids and where that has taken us. But I do think that there's a place for pneumatic tools potentially, especially if you had a really quality one, you've invested somewhere, or you have a great airline system. In my opinion, that's not really what I want for our space.
I think I was actually, processing this and thinking about this, because some people will be like, oh, the old school, air driven tools, they're better. Well, that may be fair, and maybe your tool lasts 20, 30 years.
Correct.
Where my electric has probably got a 5-year lifespan.
Yes.
But the airlines, the fittings, the air compressor itself, the physical lines to the place. And then just think about how much air you use in a shop. Back in the day, your lift was air. Mm-hmm. You're using it for just general air, tire changing, that kind of stuff. So that asset, you're asking a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if that asset goes boof,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
But basically shuts an old school shop down. Not to mention the fact that now you have to have length of hose and be able to get to that and get it into your space.
Think how crappy our old hose was, how stiff it was, and we didn't
Absolutely.
have swivel fittings at that time. And understand, I started out, I mean, as did Scott, and probably Jeffrey had pneumatic tools as well.
absolutely.
I mean, that was what we had. It's what we used,
But and the other part I wanted to, kind of bring up is you would have the baddest impact going. If your compressor can't feed it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember,
Oh yeah, you get those small compressors, 8 gallons. You're like, cool. 2 minutes in,
Not even 2 minutes in. I
if you're
remember
lucky,
using a
yeah,
little.
If you're lucky,
Yes.
then you're sitting there waiting 10 minutes for it to recharge.
Yes.
and not only have I, we've had train brakes and XJ brakes and that kind of stuff. You used to have compressor brakes because you'd have to wait for the compressor to catch up, so you could go ahead and hit it again with as much ugga-duggas as you had.
Yes.
Where electric, it's just
It's on
full
and off.
power until it's dead, and then you can go get another battery and go again.
Right.
Plus, you don't have that hose heating you.
But even with the electric, with the battery ones, you had different adaptations of it or variations. Started off, it would slowly die on you.
Yes.
And it would just get weaker and weaker. Now, battery's dead. It stops dead.
Yeah, but you have that
But-
basically full power up until
Correct.
it dies.
Right.
You sort of don't. The last
It
little
gets a little
tiniest
weaker,
little
but
bit.
not like it used to.
But not like a NiCad. You're
Yeah,
talking
you're-
about NiCad.
yeah, you're not
technology.
getting that
back in the
warning.
day.
Yes.
You got 5 minutes of warning time because it's dragging so slow.
Yeah.
And I do think that there was an advantage, those pneumatic guns back in the day. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on pneumatic versus
Yeah.
electric because
I just thought it was a good
again,
lead-in.
I think it's a great lead in. I don't want 7 parts like Jeffrey has accused me of definitely attempting to drag us out into. But
Well, and Rob's in the comments saying, I can turn a ratchet into a hammer. And
I can turn my Milwaukee Impact into a hammer too.
Until the battery shatters off of it. And then Daddy Jeep again said, I primarily use air in my shop for the pneumatic can crusher.
All right, that's kind of legit. I think that's cool. That's also old school can crushers. How many people are crushing cans anymore? The old school pneumatic guns used to be rebuildable,
Yes.
serviceable, right?
Yes.
And that's an argument is that you could have had a pneumatic gun from the 60s to the 80s,
Yep.
and theoretically, and let's just use Snap-on for what it is, you could trade it in, and that guy went onto the truck and he rebuilt that for you, typically speaking, under warranty, right?
Yes.
And later on, as other derivatives of that gun became available to the average DIY or automotive enthusiast, you could continue to service that gun. And I had those guns that were passed to me at a pretty
Yeah.
early age.
The old IH guns and absolutely.
And the challenge is you're not doing that with a Milwaukee Impact necessarily. I have a Milwaukee brushless. It's a fuel circular saw torn apart on my workbench right now because something has gone amiss with it, and it's not what YouTube claims it is.
Darn YouTube.
And I cannot, for the life of me, find the replacement parts available, because I'm like, yes, I understand that they're not making this tool to be serviceable. That's not their intention. But by golly, I'm going to do it. I have the means to do it, so I'm going to do it. But I literally can't figure out the part numbers to the models, to the production dates, the batches, to find.
I'd say if there's any drawback on the new electronic tools is that they change the part numbers and the series, and every 6 months. It's almost as bad as our cell phones. They constantly are revising it, and depending on when you bought it and what series you bought it as, because I remember I was looking at
Yes.
a hand grinder, it was like no less than 5 available, and I had to go and find what kind of handle do you want? What kind of paddle
Yes.
do you want? What kind of gear nut change do you want? That kind of stuff. Do you want an auto brake?
Yes.
And there's brushless and non-brushless, which fuel is usually brushless.
Yes.
I think my wife asked me that the other day, or someone asked me. I was like, oh, that's actually a good question.
That fuel, Milwaukee. We are Milwaukee whores.
Fuel
just
is
so
the
you know.
brushless line.
I'm going to own my indiscretions. I really struggle to buy anything else, despite the fact that Angry Turtle owner, he has Makita. He's a Makita guy from from start to go. They have a coffee maker, which should be right up my alley. Right.
Yeah.
And his saw outcut my circular saw all day long.
Do better, Milwaukee.
And yet, so here's the thing.
That was impressive. I did not believe you until we got to try it. I was like, holy crap.
So now my Milwaukee brushless, so fuel 7 1/4 circular saw is dead on my bench. So what am I doing? I have a Harbor Freight suitcase generator, which I picked up on their scratch and dent and figured out how to make work. Okay. And then I have my OG Black & Decker corded saw. So now I'm wandering around with about 110 pounds of equipment to cut some 2x4s at my house
Because
projects.
your Milwaukee saw sucks.
Because my Milwaukee saw sucks, right? But the right tool for the job. And I've become so spoiled. I've become so entitled. I'm like, well, my cordless saw should just be at my whim, and it should only be 7.89 ounces, pounds and ounces.
Yeah.
And now I'm carrying 110 pounds of generator and circular saw that's 30 years old, and this thing is just cutting like crazy.
Yeah.
But the guide sucks, and the motor hangs out a foot overhang, and it's not. It doesn't do what I
The blade
want.
is 20 years old, but somehow still cutting.
It's still cutting amazing.
I've got one of those. I know.
Right? But
I'd say-
but then the caliber of the work that comes from that tool, like I'm worried about the cord. It's dragging over my work surface, and my guide is on the wrong side of
Well, not only that,
That's why my cord has electrical tape on it.
Yes.
how's
than one
your
place.
cord doing? Because mine are all hand-me-down from my dad's saws.
Yes.
And the cords have been wound and unwound so many times, the insulation is starting to fall off.
Well, some of that's from the saw hitting it. That's what I'm
Well, I
talking
try
about.
not to do that.
Just try as you will. Eventually it happens.
And so there is this conversation when I'm looking at it going, hey, like the right tool for the job is, in fact, the cordless, and arguably in my situation, I now know the Makita, but I'm not willing to come out my pocket because I own the $300 saw, which is now sitting broken on my workbench.
Yes.
Right. And that's the whole argument with your pneumatic air gun versus your electric air gun. Mm-hmm. Now, as soon as that impact gun goes kaputzi internally,
Yes.
now, you were talking about a piece of the system of the air system. Well, I might easily be able to go grab another pneumatic air gun.
Yeah.
But the cost of investment in the quality impacts, right? I can go to Harbor Freight and I can pick up a Hercules or a Bear, and they're not bad. They're not great. They're not the same as the Milwaukees. That level of investment that those manufacturers have taken to creating efficiency and quality and craftsmanship, I don't want to go ugga dugga 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 to take a nut off. I want to, or a lug nut off. I want to go zoop, and it's done. You
Yes.
know, that's what's then going to differentiate our experience from the average, you know, kind of
It's
at
kind of
home.
part of the 2-second lean model of just efficiency of it.
Which 100% is how I said this crosses over into American Hustle
Yeah.
and our expectations regarding, you know, processes, procedures. How do I do things a little more efficient? How do I do things a little bit better? Because that's ultimately the goal. Now, if I just want to go hide in the garage from my family for 10 hours on a Saturday, I really don't care if I'm using a 4-way to break lug nuts loose or, you know, or shove them back together.
Depends on how
America's lazy. We care.
much. Well, it depends on how much man tool you want to use.
Yeah.
4-way more man tool.
It is big man tool. So where this was, and again, I'm desperate to not make this into a 7-part series, and we're encroaching on, you know, maybe 20 minutes left in our talking points here. So where this came into kind of a reality for me most recently was, again, both career day, but then something that I've been encountering with my wife's, like our personal mall crawler. And by extension, one of our customers or good customers, Artie, his Jeep, where we're seeing this high degree of electrical interface in our most modern vehicles. And how do we as professionals, and then how do we as enthusiasts and DIYers, we're attracted to the Jeep community because we want to be able to work on them. We want to treat them like big Lego sets, right?
I think the biggest key to that, and I know where you're going with this, is the old school impact. You pretty much can be basic mechanical guy and tear that apart and go, hey, I think the seal's bad. Find a seal, make a seal, cobble a seal, something, and
Right.
make that work again.
Right.
Where not many people have the electronic diagnostic equipment that allows you to then do that with a fuel Milwaukee Impact. Everything is repairable. You have to have the knowledge, the tools, and the basic ability to do that. And that's where we don't know, is it the switch? Is it the board and the saw? Someone out there has the ability to do that. But do you have that ability?
And the challenge is that YouTube has created the Olympic viewer experience, in my
Yes.
opinion. For decades, we have accepted the fact that we sit at home during the Olympics and we watch these people flip and run and sprint and bobsled and all this kind of stuff. And we're like, I think I could do that, right?
Yes.
And there then was born we need to have the average American doing the Olympic activity next to this individual because they do it so flawlessly. We think that we can then in turn do the same thing flawlessly.
And the same thing happens with automotive builds on TV.
And so
we're
therefore,
definitely the most critical about watching it too. Like, oh, you missed that little spot there as you're doing that triple backflip over that's.
yes.
Who are
Yes.
you to say that?
And so the internet and then the YouTubes have created this experience where we're watching an individual pull. I'm going to go with the saw apart and then find a dead spot on the board and desolder and resolder. And in the meantime, they've found the diode that is the exact right rating and specs to go back into the board.
Yep.
And it just happened to be on their shelf because they do, I don't know, RC car builds on their channel on the side.
They're so on a shelf because you have to buy like 600 of them. So they had, 3 years ago, they had something else fail with that diode.
Yes.
And you can't just buy diode. You
Right.
have to buy them in bulk.
And
So now they have them for the rest of their life.
And I've watched them, with a particular glue or adhesive warm up the board so the chip, because there's an actual operating chip that has to be fully, X-Acto knifed off the board and then glued back in and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, I think I could do that, you know?
And then you throw the tool in the garbage.
And
Nate in the comments, hey, I am a YouTube certified mechanic.
Absolutely.
And that's, arguably, that's okay. That's what attracts people to the Jeep community. We want to be able to do some of these things, but then at what level do we want to do it? I oftentimes, when I do so many shows, I talk to a lot of people with varying degrees of success and or expectation and or ambition in their repair process of their vehicle. And I'll talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of benchtop building and campfire talks is what I like to call them, where it's really a lot more daydream, and then the project goes to die and rot in the backyard. And we know those guys, right? But then I definitely talk to some people where as the conversation progresses, I will still think of, it was a young couple, and you could tell as he talked more, he had the right mechanical brain. I'm just going to be very, very transparent and say he was absolutely a white collar individual, right? He was an office guy. And yet as he talked more, you could really tell that he had, some mechanical function in and how he organized his thoughts. And this was so funny because it was a thing where I talked to him at Honest to Pete. It happened to be Bantam. I talked to him one year at Bantam, and he was endeavoring to rebuild an engine, and he had acquired said engine and was going to rebuild it. And I was like, yeah, cool, dude. And it sounded legit, you know what I mean? But I know that there's a bunch of different torque specifications, and there's a bunch of machining, and you really need to know the different machining aspects. And if you're going to change your camshaft, then you're into lift and duration. And, there's a number of technically specific things for somebody who hasn't done it before. Would be very challenging. Okay, well, long story short, the kid we're talking this is a decade ago, so I don't think he's a kid anymore, but he was a mechanical engineer in a drafting capacity. Probably not unlike you, but his employment, it's if you would have stayed with your original employer. His original employment just kind of kept him in a desk capacity. He comes back the next year and is like, yep, I rebuilt it. I actually drove it here, blah, blah, blah. We have this whole conversation, and he did it all out of reading the technical specifications out of an FSM, factory service manual. He rebuilt the engine, drove it there, and I just thought that's so cool. Now, he had to go out and buy the torque wrenches. He had to go out and buy the plastic gauges or whatever, you know what I mean? But then
But then he owns the tool.
Which is our excuse for buying tools all the time, right?
Absolutely.
That's Jeffrey came and finally removed his really nice toolbox from the shop, and he's moved it to his current place of.
I don't even miss that as much. I miss his ladders. The toolbox was a great shelf.
He had the right tools for the job, and now he needs the right tools for the job at his current place, and that comes to the organizational piece of it. And so, as we're looking at these modern day vehicles, and I kind of strayed away and that concept we were talking about.
The tools changed.
The tools change.
Yeah.
And so for us, it requires us, we have...
It requires us to buy more tools.
And we have the top of the line, Snap-on, monthly subscription, yada, 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 right?
Yep.
And I know that as of recent, some other counterparts within the industry, also in the 4x4 and or customized truck and vehicle market, they're not paying for that. Likewise, we didn't pay for that at a time either. Yep. We couldn't. We were not at a place where we were having to utilize that highest degree of technical diagnostic work. And now we are,
Yep. And that makes it more of a challenge for that home hobbyist guy. So he's not going to have all that.
So, and at that minor level, but again, our expectation is much like that guy who was like, no, I want to know this engine intimately and build it from, piece by piece. We want to know the electrical in and outs, and we want to be able to monitor aspects of it. And so, therefore it becomes relative to our experience. The average new modern vehicle owner can receive a good bit of this via product like Taser from Z Automotive. Super Chips has a form of it, though I think Taser is leading the market right now. And JScan is calling a spade, the bootleg version of what Z Automotive has done in a legitimate fashion.
And if you're a computer programming-esque guy, JScan would probably be right up your alley. But if you don't know those things,
Right.
Taser's probably a better choice.
And the Taser is going to be customer service friendly in the standpoint that you're not going to brick your vehicle utilizing a Taser.
Yeah.
JScan, and I like JScan, so those who are listening in, don't get twisted. I like JScan, but there's a very good chance that you're going to change a parameter in JScan
Living on the edge.
that can screw up your vehicle. Likewise, we have all of HP Tuner's integration software. We've done some tuning ourselves. You can brick your vehicle.
Yep.
It just, it is that degree of efficiency or intimacy in the repair process that you're looking to exist at. For us, we want to be on the edge, and we kind of accept that as a necessary risk assessment for the repairs and quality work that we want to do. Whereas the average consumer maybe doesn't want to drive to AutoZone or their local mechanic every time the check engine light pops on.
Yep.
So you can, be kind of in the middle with a appropriate tool to go, hey, I just know that my Jeep had a hiccup this morning.
And not only that, with, using the easier use JLJT one, you have to have the, play the Macarena and be able to hold like multiple buttons and
The Taser.
and gang signs and stuff on the steering wheel.
I think it's perfectly acceptable.
so that you can access the screen. So you still feel like
That you're doing
you're
something.
doing something.
So let alone, I had to do an install of one of those the other day. Jeffrey. Jeff was my go-to. I mean,
He could like unhinge his back and like go
unhinge
underneath
his back. He went alien arm. He straight lizard peopled up under the dash
Yeah.
in no time flat and swapped out a Taser. Now, I understand not, some of them are super easy to get
Some
to.
of them are. There's other ones.
definitely
Your
been
hands
ones-
getting cut as you're reaching through.
Not only is it cut, but you got to shove it through a keyhole.
Right.
I watched that movie before.
Yeah.
You have to, kind of compartmentalize. So I had to, once you physically do that, I mean, putting a Taser in can feel like you're doing a nice little DIY,
Yes.
afternoon, Saturday project, just because you have to contort yourself into a pretzel.
And then when
to
you're
do it.
programming it, you just got to, pat your head, rub your belly at the same time, and you're good to go.
Dude, the Macarena song.
That too.
So as far as electrical interface for our modern day vehicles, and I was working with my wife, so I'm going to get to that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get to that one. You're talking about Nathan's?
Yeah, about the removing the panel.
What? Go ahead.
Oh, he was saying it's not too bad on the JLJT. Just remove the lower dash panel. I have never removed that panel to do it.
And I can factually tell you that there's a number of them that are blocked with a module.
Correct.
So once you pull that panel, you're
just
squarely-
staring at a wall.
And this Nathan has everything to do with the misinformation, because I think that might be applicable to your Jeep and maybe one or two others. But this is always the misinformation of the internet.
Yeah.
I only touch Jeeps. This is what I try to tell people, and I also have to creep in the background and bite my
Specifically,
tongue.
my Jeep, because it has the power inverter. There's a big inverter underneath the dash where you're trying to go. Mm-hmm. And if you know what you're looking for, that also helps. Mm-hmm. The first time you're doing it, you have no idea what you're looking for.
Poking and hoping in the dark.
There we go.
But and this has to do with the
He goes, well, mine is the best.
obvi Nathan. That's what it comes down
That's why
to.
mine's installed and never
But,
coming out.
but because his doesn't have the module, his is one of the easy ones that you don't have to. You just reach up and grab and you're done.
Correct, and that actually is what I would say from a neutral standpoint, looking in on his experience versus what I know, the multitude of ours being. But it comes down to when Chrysler rolled out about the GPEC computer, which is it's a vertical oriented computer versus a horizontal orientation. And quite frankly, it just brain blended the entire Jeep industry because we had things that we thought knew to be true, and then there would be a random person who had the vertical computer versus the horizontal, and now we know that it goes back as early as almost 21, but 23 being the no-go zone with this computer, but regardless, that's part of this differentiation and knowing the tools and having the right processes and knowledge
and learning the information.
Right. So, in the sense of my wife's Jeep specifically, I had to. She's been having this random communication situation where the Jeep just randomly power steering goes out and all the lights and bells and whistles go off on her Jeep.
Jeep is big angry.
Jeep's got big feelings. It's big angry, and it overheats, right, per the dash. All of these things.
And you know what's sad is I could see someone like my Jeep's possessed. It's totaled. I need to trade it in. I'm going to take a big bath on this.
Yes.
And it was napkins.
So hear me out.
There's a story that I don't know.
So hear me out. And you're absolutely right. I need you to know, because we've talked to customers who have been pulled over on the side of the road for far less, right?
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, I can
only because you're Simpsons did you go through.
Well, I've got to say, I think I can say collectively for all of us in the room and our significant others, and maybe the immediacy of people around us are like, I think that the world's going to continue to turn. I'm going to feel this out a little bit. You know what I mean? At this point in time, and to my wife's credit, she is unfazed by the fact that her Jeep is acting possessed and has broken down on the side of the road. You know, it's not a thing. It does not bother her. And it had done it a couple times, so we end up switching vehicles. I could not get it to hiccup, for the life of me. I would take the scanner, so and then it would be uneventful. It'd be like, oh, the code did exist, but now it doesn't, and I'd have 27 codes. So this time around, we were going to do a little quick family excursion to Erie, and so I
saw you on the highway heading to Erie.
Did you?
Yeah, were you going to Kohl's or something?
Yes. That's exactly where we're going. I have also turned into a Kohl's whore, just so we're on the same page.
Well,
so
I may have had some inside information on where you were headed after I saw you.
Oh, okay.
You ran into somebody.
Oh, yeah, I did. I ran into your brother. That's true. Anyways, if you're listening and you need extra wide shoes that are good for support of an insert and you need to try them on, Kohl's has literally the best supply.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. But if Kohl's wants to throw us a little bone for their great shoe department, I'm here to rep you. So anyways, I took our big fancy supercomputer with us, right? And I drove to Erie and obviously promptly broke down on the side of the road, which had not happened for weeks. And I was, tickled to be able to kind of run some diagnostics and see that I was actually not overheating. Mm-hmm. Able to go in and actually monitor those controls and stuff. And as I started to go through the diagnostic processes that we employ here, my cursory looks, which for me I feel is cursory, but I factually know for a lot of people they would be, thinking that this was pretty in depth. My cursory look on the side of the road eventually took me to the bus bar, CAN bus communication systems that are behind the glove box. And as I'm accessing the glove box, my wife goes, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I need to get to the comm lines behind the glove box door. Now, quick sidebar. I am factually saying communication lines. Folks, think about not the fiber optic, but your Cat5 cable, mm-hmm. which then to kind of make it even yet more generic is just the phone and internet cable.
I'll say let's go back to cable TV. And, back in the day, you had just one line and went to the TV in the living room. And at some point, you're like, TV in the garage or the bedroom or both would be awesome. So you go get a splitter, shove that in there, and now you have multiple lines. And then next thing you know, there's like one in the kitchen and one in the bedroom, and the kid wants one in their room. So there's the splitters upon splitters upon. That's what your comm lines in your JL basically are.
100%, right? Also, friendly notation, you can't butt connect them or splice connect them.
No.
Just because somebody in your club did it once and it sort of worked for them does not mean that that's actually going to work the majority of the time. Fun fact, you can't butt splice reputably ABS sensor wires.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
stops the
solder.
signal.
It actually interrupts the signal. And just because you kind of got lucky and it sort of worked, there's lots of those situations in life. Reputably, these type of finite data communication lines or low voltage signal wires
Need soldered.
they need soldered. They cannot have broken or interrupted pulse signal. So anyways, with that said, as I pull the glove box down, she kind of was like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, of course, my wife is probably not that exciting, but she's like, well, you're going to find a bunch of stuff behind there. And I'm like, I'm what? She's like, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of napkins, maybe some socks, some gloves, maybe some, woman stuff. And I was like, so you're just like letting it fall behind and wad up? And she was like, yeah, basically, And I was like, are you kidding me? Right.
And here's why the Jeep died.
And what I can within reason tell, because it has not hiccuped since in any other, standard testing, and I've got about 100 miles on it. Since those data comm lines had actually all gotten folded over and kind of compressed and wiggled in their fixture, how they seat into their bus bar themselves. And they were all matted and kind of wadded up. Now, it was not nearly as bad as my wife had described it, but it was bad enough to create this interrupted signal experience. And we've certainly had a number of early model Jeeps where we actually replaced these bus bars for them. And so this was a conversation in my head about, I was able to utilize my big fancy computer to know that there was not anything mechanically wrong with the Jeep, right? There wasn't a timing, there wasn't a sync, there wasn't electrical, signal impurity. There was a loss of communication. There was a loss of communication specifically. But then I had to employ some kind of old school whodunit diagnostic processes to get to that point. And how often do people just start throwing parts at things? Going to, whether they're DIYing it, whether they're going to a garage that maybe is not, came up with the times per se. I mean, we've certainly gotten Jeeps from our listeners, from our followers, from our friends and family who have a general mechanic for X, Y, and Z. And then the mechanic goes, I don't want anything to do with that. It comes to electricity, with Jeeps and electricity. And we end up with the Jeep, So in this specific situation, the right tool for the job, I did need my big fancy computer. Could I have gotten away with, a Taser or a JScan? Maybe.
Probably.
Probably.
You would have had to have a little bit more.
But again, it's that 2-second
confidence.
efficiency, right? It's that little more efficiency, a little more knowledge, a little more in depth. Does a pneumatic, impact wrench get the job done? Absolutely.
Yep.
Does, in our opinion, the electric one that can move quickly and efficiently without having the cord get stuck under a tire and I have to walk back to the vehicle and drag it out?
Worry
and so
about
on and so
moisture
forth?
in the lines and all of that.
100%. It just does it, just in my opinion, just a little bit better,
Yep.
Anything else for the good of the order? I'm not trying to drag this one out, but the right tool for the job is... I should address, Nathan brings up Harbor Freight.
They're good for a lot of things.
I 100%. I love Harbor Freight. I love VEVOR. But then there is a time and place for substantial investment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Much like the computer, I am going to choose our Snap-on Altus series versus our Altus Edge series versus one of the Harbor Freight diagnostic computers. That's not to say that the Harbor Freight diagnostic computer is not good. We used an Autel for many years. Still a good computer as far as I'm concerned.
I think if you want to get in that middle road where you don't want to buy the Snap-on, but maybe you want to be a little bit more DIY friendly than the Taser, Harbor Freight's not a bad option for that. But you got to realize that you may use it, depending on your use amount, a couple years, and it may be outdated, and it's now a brick.
And I actually have been privy to a couple people just in customer service consultation or some of the tuning communities that I'm part of, who just have a couple cool vehicles.
Yep.
And they do go out and buy an above average scan tool.
Yep.
We're not talking about the $50, $70 one at the back counter of AutoZone. We're talking about these, $1,000 scanners so that they can see what's happening inside their vehicle, even though it's just a scan tool. It's not actually making them do, base caliper changes.
And it's really no different, in my opinion, than the old school guy that went and bought the $500 torque wrench because he was building 5 motors and it justified it somehow. Mm-hmm. Where the other guys went and got the Walmart torque wrench and that's all they do is their tires. Mm-hmm. So it really, it's good to have options.
Well, to talk about torque wrenches briefly, and here within our own establishment, Greg, who does all of our gear and axle setup, has the high dollar digital Snap-on torque wrench, which is awesome.
I was going to say, we have literally all levels of torque wrenches within the shop.
Correct. And then we have I'm trying to think who the original manufacturer is of them.
The half-inch torque wrench, we all now have, it's kind of the universal thing. You can even buy that at Harbor Freight now. They have a version of it. You can see they've changed the color a couple times.
Right.
Jeff's was a different color, but was made by Matco, if I remember right.
I have the red handle.
Right,
Yeah.
but I thought somebody else was making it for Matco. I'm trying to think who the one that I bought that's blue handle was
Correct.
the OG.
Correct.
But they were making it for Matco.
Right.
And it is the same conversation. We don't need to go out and buy the digital
Angle, fancy things.
Torque to angle.
Torque to angle that the Snap-on has, though that is very good.
And is needed for some applications.
It's needed for the right tool for the job. Whereas we wanted to be able to make sure that, big nuts and bolts were torqued, right? Because it's a half-inch torque wrench. And lug nuts were torqued. And that we had a consistency amongst our employees here and the product we were putting out. Now, I started with Harbor Freight dial, round dial the handle up.
Yep.
Click wrenches, which, honestly is a torque wrench. That's cool.
So
it
I
worked.
started with a beam. And they still have one at home.
I've got a couple beams just because I think they're cool.
I was going to say, somebody has a beam floating around the shop. That's why I said we literally have all of them.
Yes. And I have a beam just because I think they're super cool. I had them actually I displayed them on the wall, and I don't know where they're at the moment. But regardless, that's understanding where our level of investment to our return to our expectation lie is the right tool for the job. So at Harbor Freight, I encourage people when we do our tire talk, maybe if you're a new customer to us, you're not familiar, we always do an outtake or a post-service document with you where we torque your tires in front of you and we do a piece of paperwork and we circle your torque rating and we encourage you to check your torque. If you don't have a torque wrench, I tell you just go to Harbor Freight and pick one up, that will be satisfactory, And so there is lots of opportunity. This is a super sidebar, but I was using the Harbor Freight splitting maul over the weekend. I've had it for 10 plus years. It's okay. It gets the job done. I'm a casual person who splits for just campfire wood, and I might split wood for campfire twice a year. I don't know. 4 times a year.
You're not doing the axe chops?
I'm not.
You're doing the maul?
Yeah, I sledge maul it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But so real quick on the right tool, there's one other thing. If you don't have the tool, Scott or Greg will just make a tool. And
that can happen.
That's happened more than once.
That's fair.
And that is that is the thing, especially when you get into the more, kind of elaborate workmanship that is required out of these more in-depth jobs. Oftentimes you do have to have this exact right tool. And if you don't have it available to you, a lot of dealerships have dealer-specific tools. Keith Yauman, the Jeep doctor, a good friend of ours, as a lifelong dealer tech, had the opportunity. He has, I don't know if he still does. I was so jealous of him. He had a whole wall of retired dealer tools. And that dealer tool made that job just 1 second faster and easier. Mm-hmm. And he had it, and it was a reference number. And that's how the dealership said they needed to repair X, Y, and Z. And you could go and you could access it out of his dealer tool wall and do the job. It was just such a cool thing. But these specialty tools, now people who are listening who know they have to do anything with VVT overhead cams know that you have to lock the cams into place. Mm-hmm. You can get away once or twice with some rubber hose and
the handle of your ratchet.
And the handle of your ratchet. But that's not a good long-term solution, Nope. And so you can buy the right tool to lock those cogs of the camshafts and timing sets in place, so as not to have problems in the long run.
Just to do the harmonic balancer on a 3.6, you have to have a torque to angle torque wrench. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's something real kind of basic.
Mm-hmm. So I encourage you to kind of understand, as our listenership is concerned, kind of where you fit within this, this scheme of expectation, right? I think the vast majority of our Jeep customers like doing suspension, because suspension, tires, and wheels, because you don't need all the specialty tools or all the specialty knowledge. And that's why one of the things I always say is it's not what we do that makes us special, it's how we do it, right? Mm-hmm. We have a number of tips and tricks in the processes, and this is where the right tool for the job becomes our processes, maybe more so than our actual ratchet wrench. Our Snap-on wrench really doing that much better of a job than an Icon or a Craftsman or whatever?
And it's nothing bad, too, to start out with a cheaper tool, learn how to use that tool, and then eventually upgrade. I mean, 90% of my metal shop is entry-level hobbyist type sheet metal tools, but I'm not doing it for full-time employment. I'm doing it as a hobbyist, so it works. And the pricing difference is astronomical. You go from like a $600 English wheel to thousands, like $6,000, $7,000 for an English wheel. There's just no justification there. And for some reason, there just is not the middle of the road tools like other hand tools. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at that as well and kind of make a judgment call. I'm like, how often am I going to use this? There's some shortcomings. The good thing about YouTube too is there's tons of reviewers. They're doing every type of tool you can imagine, from a weed whip to a hedge trimmer to your hammer. And they'll tell you all the pluses and minuses, and just go in educational wise and figure out what's going to work for me.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Sorry, Scott.
And it's so funny that you talk about that, because that's actually one of the things where I'm being challenged with the circular saw, come back full circle. And I'm looking down the pipe of going, okay, I'm really sick of carrying my, little suitcase Jenny and my saw around. I'm not getting any further on my cordless situation. I'm sure there's somebody out there who doesn't have as many irons in the fire as I do, and I shouldn't put that on them, but their workshop is just, they're going in their basement, and they're tinkering with the 6,000 diodes that they have, and they just have that, maybe just that one little piece more of information or knowledge set than I do.
It's no different than the person that would have traded in your mall crawler versus you were able to fix it.
100%. You're absolutely right. So I'm at the point of trading in my broken, circular saw. So I'm looking at other saws, right?
Options.
And I'm looking at other options. And I am struggling because I've tried to watch some of those reviews. I'm trying to touch things myself, because as many of our, owners, Jeep owners and enthusiasts, they get it. I want to touch, I want to feel, I want to see the tires. I want to see that lift kit in action, that kind of stuff. One of the challenges I'm having is actually finding some of these saws in the wild that I can physically put my hands on.
That is
you
a
know?
big challenge.
And go, hey, is this a good investment for me, or do I just need to buy what I know, right? The devil I know versus the devil I don't, or do I go out and buy a Makita and then buy a battery adapter? Because I'm not about to invest in new batteries.
And another good thing is, this example here is, what do your friends have? How are they lasting? I've want an electric circular saw. I'm only going to use it probably for the building, but boy, would it be handy. And I have not, because yours is broken.
Really, and I because I it's my own interest, and I see people using these saws in a far more robust and aggressive and beat up and leave them outside and throw them in the bed of trucks. This is not what my saw was,
Yeah.
So it's safe to say I have an outlying experience, but at the same time, like, I want to know that my next move, I didn't cheap out on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This wasn't a cheap saw. I want to know that my next move is going to be a better move, and not a downgrade or a waste of money.
To summarize, you need the right tool for the right job.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, folks, as always, we've got 11 bajillion Jeeps to work on. We have, fortunately, career days have passed, but we do have all of our own kids' end of the year activities as school gets ready to get out. We have preparation for show season happening. And we have just a myriad of commitments to our, the physical pursuits that we have here within SFJ 4x4. And so it is time for us to depart. Until next time, Jeep on.
Keep on.
Jeep on.
I wanted to be like, check us out on Tuesday updates. And I don't know the last time I did a Tuesday update is the problem.
Slacker.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's more like, wow, it's 5:30 on Tuesday.
Where did that go?
Where did that go?
I haven't even gotten a haircut, and like I literally can tell you the last time I got a haircut, it was before Easter, because I'm finding it hard to find time. And I love my barber, but he doesn't take. He's walk-in only, so like I'm really struggling. I once really enjoyed to go to the barber because it kind of like, hey, I can't do anything, so I'm okay to sit here for an hour and a half.
But now you're like, I have everything to do and no time to do it in, so
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And some of that has just to do with our spring schedule,
Yeah.
right? That's spring for people north of the Mason-Dixon. It's a busy time of year in general. Maycember, I think, is what I've heard people calling it, like December, where you're overly committed and whatnot.
Yep.
So, I think we're going to try and do a Tuesday update here. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen.
Got a lot
Scott.
of cool stuff to see.
We got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Well, do a couple quick weekend updates, and then I think we have somebody out there in the waiting room.
Yes.
So I was finally able to mow all my grass, and I do enjoy looking at that and going, "Oh, that looks nice." For 2 seconds.
You're turning into an old man.
I know.
Yeah, he's maintaining his tractor. As soon as he said
I
that,
know,
you should
right?
have known.
Backing up is so nice.
Who would have known?
would have known? Just that.
Right tool for the job. I can back
Changing
my
that
lawnmower
oil.
up.
Anywho's, I did get to work on the T a little bit. Was able to modify the gas tank and filled it up with water. Do have a couple small leaks. It's got something in the works. I'm not going to divulge that yet, but I'm going to try to seal it up with. If ones that don't know, welds are always have a little bit of porosity in them, even though they don't, if that makes sense. So I had just the tiniest little leaks. The thing that was most frustrating, though, is where they allow you to bolt things onto the tank with gaskets. Totally way worse than anything I welded, and I had no confidence in doing it to start with. So, like normal, I wanted to seek the professional with the better tool than what I had, and then in desperation just used what I had and kind of surprised myself. And the flip side.
Well, that's how I always feel about us as a
Yes.
company.
I know you do.
Yep.
So I also was able to bend up the relief in the floor for the gas tank, get the seat all back in, and promptly realized that I don't have quite enough room like I thought I did. The tank needs to be more vertical, and with the seat, it wants to be not. So I got to figure that out. Might be as simple as just moving the seat forward a little bit. I'm not quite sure. So it's in that, where's the steering wheel? Where are the pedals? Where is this? Where is that? And I'm making these decisions that are going to impact the full use of the car. So slowly making forward progress. But I also spent some time just doing some painting and cleaning ups as well. So moving forward, nevertheless, I do need to do an update. So this is actually before the Instagram update. So.
Oh, fun. I will just say that as of most recent, I actually got the stomach bug. I'm glad that you and company didn't, because I was doing the career days recently for a number of the local schools. And big thank you to my dad for coming out and being my handler and keeping me on track. And we do a very nice progression of showing kids what it's like to be within the mechanical trades. And I think that's a valuable piece to share back to the community as a whole. And then, so then I got the stomach bug, and this is where I was going, was glad I didn't get the whole school sick yet. But the piece that I actually am excited and I want to share out to the world is less of a kind of a personal update of sorts, but it's one that I'm very proud of, again, as a company-wide, is that within the last period of time, since you've heard us last, we got our official sponsorship for SEMA 2026. Mm-hmm. So we will once again have a Jeep on display within the convention center.
Nice.
And so starts our March to SEMA. It's going to be
March.
Yep. And preparation of making sure that said Jeep is 100% ready to rock and roll. And it's already been indicated that it's worthy of display. But now it's kind of bringing that storyline both to the public and then, getting it physically there. So we'll do it.
Cool.
Do it to it.
For me, I actually got a little time to go hiking with the kids. Got them down to the creek a little bit. Got to play Clue and some pool with the kids. Along with all the time of rebuilding beer lines and learning all of the stuff that I never thought I was going to learn.
Saw your
this
nice
year.
post on rebuilding beer lines.
Yeah. And, that was yet another hiccup because the parts that were purchased, they purchased kits, but the kits didn't have all the pieces. So I had to wait for additional pieces to come in.
Always.
I knew exactly what was happening in that photo, that was just a scratch of the surface.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Situation.
You
that was
know
not
more about beer lines than you ever thought you would know about beer lines.
I tell everybody, if you would have asked me in January what my New Year resolutions were, none of this was on the table. None of it.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. So
Excellent. All right, Jeep family, it was a banger once again, and I hope that it was something beneficial in here. I really do look forward to seeing all of you out at the shows this summer. So make sure you stop by our booth and say hello in the process. Until next time, Jeep on.
Wait, real fast. Daddy Jeep says weekend update. Stay tuned for a short video involving some gasoline, a Zippo lighter, and his Amazon LS swap harness.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I saw some stuff from him. So Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.